Welcome to the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship here in Shanghai, China. On air slightly early because once again times are changing. Wet weather is appalling around this circuit. We do not know at the moment when we are going to go back to green flag running. Yes, we really mean it is that bad. Here's a current radar view of the circuit. We'll play it through for you. We are in the Jiading district up here where we are having very heavy rain fly through at the moment. The track is soaked. It hasn't stopped in over an hour. But right now, we're going to head down to the world feed and try and make out what's going to happen.
We will find out soon whether qualifying has been delayed or not. Fingers crossed it is a no. But let's cast our memory back to yesterday because we were treated to non-stop action. It really was a phenomenal race, particularly for one team. The DS Penske drivers, Max Günther taking the spoils for a second time this season. It is, of course, the first year that this driver has raced for DS Penske. Special for him, but also special for the team because it was a 1-2 with his teammate Jean-Eric Vergne.
Oh, incredible performance from Max and the team. They were so dominant in the qualifying session and they carried that through to the race. They had a brilliant car balance and Max executed perfectly the race. It was super impressive to see him pull out a 3-second advantage as we got into the closing stages and really take control of the race. Jean-Eric, amazing. What a legend. He came back with, I think, 5 laps to go. He was almost P8.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he found himself in second with 2 corners to go.
He started the last lap in 5th and ended up second place on the podium, bringing home a 1-2. I mean, he was just really cool, calm and collected when it was getting a little bit messy towards the end, when people were getting a little bit low on battery. He was just there to pick up the pieces and he made some bold overtakes, particularly in the last chicane.
Yeah, absolutely, and made it stick. And you can see from some of the celebrations that we saw yesterday just how much it really does mean to the team. It was a historic 1-2. They have never had a 1-2 in the history of Formula E. Jay Penske there, who has run the team since the beginning. You've also got Phil Charles there, who has moved over to the team quite recently as the deputy manager. He was in tears, deputy team principal. He was in tears. It's just a reminder, the blood, sweat and tears that go into creating those kind of results and what it means.
It's brilliant to see the passion of everybody involved in the project. I mean, as Billy said, it was not on the cards going into the last lap. So to get it was such a surprise for them. It's great to see that raw emotion coming through.
Yeah. Now, another driver who we have to talk about, I'm going to rename him Barnard the Bold. What do you think?
Could be better.
What are you going to go
Billy.
for then, Billy?
I don't know.
Yeah, come on then. What are you going to go for,
Don't put me on the
smartass?
spot like this. This is why you're the presenter, Nikki, because you can cut up these things in the moment.
Yeah, well, you're just supposed to agree with me occasionally.
Okay.
So we're going to go with Barnard the Bold, but work in progress. Because some of the moves that we saw from him yesterday were incredibly bold.
They were, Nikki, you're right. I mean, he was just super aggressive with his overtakes and his defensive work too. I think that's the thing that impresses me, James, is that he's just got both sides of the package delivered. He can attack and he can defend, which is tricky in this championship.
Yeah, he really started getting his elbows out in Jeddah earlier on this season, and after he got them out, he's never put them away. He just puts his car in all the right places. He goes down the inside, gets in the fight, and he keeps delivering these amazing performances that are definitely way above a rookie performance.
Yeah, and it definitely felt like in yesterday's race for him to, you know, take this opportunity. And almost, it was quite ironic that he was overtaking Dan Ticktum in that last chicane in the same way, because Dan got his first podium last time out in Tokyo, almost doing the same overtake to him. So it kind of felt like a little bit of a payback moment there for Taylor Barnard, and managing to get that podium, considering where he was with his battery levels. I think he did the maximum that he possibly could with where he was at going into that last lap.
Yeah, the consistency really does continue from Taylor Barnard there, and hopefully that is set to continue for the rest of the season. We have talked about silly season starting at the moment, but he's clearly showcased Ian James that he's got to stay with McLaren for the future.
I think, you know, any team principal up and down this pit lane would love to have Taylor Barnard in the car. I mean, he's just a sensation. He's 21 years old today, and he just keeps delivering strong results. And how good he's going to get, he's just going to keep improving and improving. And that's such a unique thing at this stage.
Now, talking of silly season, Nick Cassidy, of course, whose contract does end at the end of this year with Jaguar. Whether or not he stays is still to be decided. But he had a brilliant qualifying yesterday. Did a phenomenal job getting into the duels for the first time this season and qualifying from the second row of the grid. But it was not meant to be, James. Talk through this action.
No, so here you got 3 wide coming through turn 11 into turn 12. Jev on the inside, Mortara in the middle, and Cassidy on the outside. See from the onboard here of Jev, Mortara could have backed out at this point, but he just stays in it and drives into the back of Nick. Really unfortunate. I don't think Nick could have done anything differently, but you could just see that Mortara, I mean, I think Mortara could have backed out of it, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, I mean, some of the messages that we saw from the team radio and on social from Nick Cassidy was not happy about that move from Edo Mortara.
I wouldn't be happy about it at all. I mean, he gave them enough space. There was a car width on the inside, and he can't do more. He was far enough in front where they had the responsibility to back out of that.
Yeah, it was a rather impressive pirouette, though, the way he rejoined the race. But now we are going to hear from some of the drivers after that dramatic 29-lap dash to the finish line. Here's what they had to say.
As you said, the team's first ever 1-2 finish, and you led the way. How much will this mean to them?
It means a lot, especially after these last few weeks where the momentum was not on our side. This weekend we certainly got it back, and yeah, a lot of hard work and very happy for the whole team.
Honestly, I don't know. I just went for it. I think we did the right call, keeping the attack quite late, and everybody was attacking a lot, and I thought that since everybody is doing that, maybe I should save a bit more energy and try to use it towards the end, and it paid out quite nicely.
I was really struggling on energy the last couple of laps, so I did my best in the last couple of corners. I think they tripped over each other a little bit, which is why I could stay on the podium, but look, I'm super happy to get another podium. It's another 15 points in the bag, so yeah, very happy.
Stoffel Van Dorn, yeah, keeping an eye on you in the race there. It felt at one moment your name was in lights, but it didn't end up that way.
Well, our charger didn't work. So I think it gave me a bit of luck in Tokyo and probably didn't give us the luck here. But I was having a mega race, to be fair. But yeah, we lost 6 seconds during the charge, and then I dropped back to last. So yeah, very unfortunate. We just came back to 11th, close to the points, but could have been so much more.
Yeah, we did a really good strategy. I've been like standing at the back, under consuming, and like took attack mode. We're on the podium at some point, and yeah, just typical Formula E race sometime where like trying to pass someone, take you, push you in the wall. I mean, that's what it is. Honestly, like I'm really pleased with the pace we had today. Good comeback, good strategy, so really good job.
No, I think we did okay. I mean, the problem I had was I wanted to stay at the front of the pack, but De Vries didn't want to lead, so I had to take the lead, then consume a bit too much energy. So it's easy to say what you could have done differently, but I think we did a pretty good race.
So Oliver Rowland there, yeah, reflecting on what was a pretty good job. I mean, he started from P6 yesterday. Obviously, in the practice sessions in the morning, I mean, he was dead last in FP2. So actually, to finish in P5 was a respectable result for him.
I mean, he increased his already gigantic championship lead. So for him, ideal situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the only thing is with the result, it was still strong and it still extends his championship lead. But I think this season he's been good at maximising the results, and I think there was more on the table yesterday with a bit of strategy. But we don't have to worry about that today because it's completely changed out there.
Exactly, that is right. Now, we have no pit boost today, so it is very much the reset button. Now, at the moment, we do have the race control car out on track, just doing a bit of an inspection to find out whether or not the conditions will allow us for qualifying to start. James, how would you perceive that rain?
I think it looks perfect. I mean, there's a bit of standing water out there, but I do think it's considerably better than we saw about an hour ago here on the track. I think that hopefully the race control are going to make the right decision. And if there's no rivers, from what I understood, I went up there and had a chat before we came on air, and it seemed like before turn 5, so just where the safety car is coming up to now, there was a small river going across the track, and then before turn 10. Those were the only two concerned areas, let's say, for race control. So I do think that we're quite close to being in a good condition.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed there was no sights of standing water, and that's the most critical thing that we don't want to have, no aquaplaning.
Yeah, the aquaplaning is where the danger levels and the safety is brought into consideration. So for me, if that's not a thing, let's get them out there.
Well, don't go anywhere. We will be bringing you all the news after the break, and hopefully it'll be lights out for qualifying for a second time here in Shanghai.
Well, that is the hope. Let's head back over and get a full list of what this circuit has been, as we've been racing here in China since the very beginning. Well, we're trying at least, but apparently there's no audio on the stream, so that's one way to go about it. Oh, so we have the commentary, but we don't have the audio. So that's always nice, isn't it, when we try and go back and grab things in. Still, as things stand, we hold the aereo back because we're in for a tricky situation. Still no sign of anything out there on the circuit. And also, there's nothing for Shanghai. Just notice that as well. There's nothing on the ITV hub to watch live qualifying. That's very disappointing, isn't it? Dear me, trying to find out the same thing because no audio available on the... I am perplexed. And I'm not often perplexed, as people will know. So apparently the Shanghai qualifying hasn't started yet. So that's because nobody realised it's come on early. Well, that's how it works sometimes. Anyway, the radar's still coming in. The FIA heading out to get a view of the circuit, but it's still looking very wet and it's still very damp out there. So we're not holding our breath too much to see if this will be a changeover or not. But we remain optimistic. We remain hopeful that we can get a session going. But right now, we're underway in 5 minutes. That's the provisional start time. Now, it took half an hour to cancel the Tokyo session, where we had a very similar rain input. Let's see what it takes.
Race. You've heard of it. Now feel it. You're not allowed to make a single mistake. It can break you. I lost the car. Or make you. Every driver wants their name on the trophy. Push for your life. This is the final lap. Into a legend. It's the big one. A race like no other. The 24 Hours of Le Mans.
And that's going to be on the 14th of June here on JBMotorsports, so we hope you join us for that, with most of the Formula E drivers coming in as well. Let's head back down to Nikki.
Well, you join us here live for qualifying. We saw a few moments ago the race director went out on track to inspect the conditions of the track and fundamentally whether or not qualifying can go ahead. Let's get an update now from Alexa, who is with the director, Marek Hanachevsky.
Marek Hanachevsky, race director. First things first, you've had a pretty busy day. You've been out in the rain, a little bit soggy. What are things looking like ready for qualifying?
Yeah, let's talk about free practice. So we had to, due to the adverse weather conditions, we were forced to cancel the free practice, but we are quite optimistic for qualifying. We had a proper, I hope we have a meteo information which is giving us some accurate information. So at this moment we are planning to start on time at 9 o'clock groups qualifying. Let's see how it goes on. we have our regulations allowed us to do on qualifying group and B. In case we are still forcing some bad conditions, so we also have an opportunity to cancel the duels. But at least we want to make happen qualifying at this stage.
And for those at home, we see all of the screens behind us. Can you explain to me the decision-making process about how you decide if it's safe to be out on track and for the session to go ahead?
I think we have here in the race control a long motorsport experience. I am also using some advices from our safety car driver. Bruno is a well-experienced guy who was in the past a race driver. Also, I am just doing some nice small talks with drivers to get some feedback, what they think. Of course, everything depends on their position on the results list sometimes, but it's good to have a good contact with them to get the feedback, to know how they think, what are their feelings on the conditions.
And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what are your expectations with the weather looking ahead to the race this afternoon?
As you know, I don't have a crystal ball, so I cannot say anything at this stage. So I wish my goal, and I think it's goal of everyone. We came here so many hours, and everyone would like to race, but still, we need to consider the safety, which is our priority, and this is our key measurement for the we go or not.
Thank you so much, Mark. We'll let you get back to it.
Thank you very much, Alexa.
Brilliant stuff there. Thank you so much to Marek and Alexa for that update. So we are in for what is going to ultimately be a very exciting qualifying session. This is the perfect track for these kind of conditions. It's wide, there's lots of runoff. These guys are going to be going as fast as they possibly can.
It's wide, there's runoff, but we are going to see some really amazing driving. You're going to see the guys sliding around everywhere, understeer, oversteer. They're going to have it all in this session.
We saw the likes of Sebastian Buemi in the Envision team do really well. He works that car so well in the wet. Is this going to be a qualifying that really suits him?
I think a lot of the guys that have more experience of driving these cars in wet weather conditions, for them, it's an opportunity today, and that's how they need to see it. As much as it's a challenge, it's an opportunity too.
Predictions, very quickly, who's on pole?
I'm going to go for Nick Cassidy.
Jev.
Nick Cassidy, Jean-Eric Verne potentially could be on pole, but there are 20 other drivers all hoping for that top spot. Well, let's find out how it's going to go down here at a very wet qualifying here in Shanghai.
Well, thank you very much, Nikki. Here we go then, ready for qualifying for the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. But qualifying will start at 9:10 local time to be confirmed. So we're still in the hold here with the weather radar. So let's check in with our commentary team down on the ground as well with Tom Brooks.
Any meaningful lap times. The upshot is that qualifying is due to start at 10 past the hour, so in about 10 or so minutes time, which will be the first meaningful running the drivers will get. In terms of the track conditions, they have improved somewhat compared to where we were for free practice about an hour and a half or so ago, but it is still going to be a very big step into the unknown. And in terms of what will happen in qualifying, whether we'll just get the group stages or whether we'll get the group stages and the duels and the normal qualifying session remains to be seen. I guess we'll adapt to the conditions based off of what it's like there out on track. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me, Andre Lotterica and Chandok here to guide you through the action. Andre, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this one. If we do just get the group stages of qualifying, it's going to be pretty hectic out there.
Yeah, for sure. They want to bank a lap time as quick as possible in case the session might get red flagged again. So things like they have practiced with it from Tokyo already, so they know what's coming for them, and they try to make the best out of it.
Corinne, we've waited a long time for some wet sessions in Formula E, and a bit like London buses, you wait all this time and three come along at once. We've had 3 wet weekends consecutively in Formula E now.
Yes, it's really unusual, isn't it? And you can see Antonio Felix da Costa there having a look. I mean, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I am not a weather expert on global climate change. But yeah, something is clearly the stars have aligned in a funny way, haven't they, for Formula E this year?
But for so many years, it was so many times we avoided rain. Like it's like we thought we were making jokes that we have a sunny membership because it was never raining.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, drivers waiting to go out on track as we look to get qualifying then underway here for round 11 in Shanghai.
Yeah, I knew that was coming as well with an ad break. They're not going to get me that easily as we wait to see. So it just keeps on delaying, doesn't it? That's the heartbreaking factor as things stand, is that we're not having this green flag run that we want to the line. So seriously, they've got to ad break there as well. We'll keep an eye out then. But yeah, we will wait. 10 past the hour is the new time for the slight delay. I'm just wondering if we're going to have a situation where we get called off. I don't want them going out there and having a huge accident. That is not what we want to see at all. So I'd much rather them take it nice and steady, nice and easy, and make sure that we can then go back to racing in a safe and controlled manner. But this is Formula E. They will take the safety to the maximum, but they won't take it too much. Nick Cassidy, he got his eyes closed as well, visualising the circuit and also getting some final cool drops in to the side of the circuit. Dan Ticktum looking on board now as well. Whether or not we're going to get started. You can see on the radar that it's moderate rain right now, coming in at the start of the hour time. But the closer to the actual session, there's more rain coming in. So it's in it. So this is the hour going forward now. So this weather radar you see coming is the next hour, and then we go towards in the next half an hour. So there is more radar coming for the rain. I'm just going to refresh it and see if that changes it for us. Yes, it does. So take a look here. This is the weather cell that's coming in just alongside. If I take the blog away for a second, you can see we've got this weather radar coming in over to the circuit. So it's quite a large rain forecast that's blowing in over the circuit, which I'm not 100% alarmed about, but I am alarmed about because of how quickly it can come in to the track. So fingers crossed it's okay. We're in the Jiading area, so we'll see. Back to TNT.
Underway then here for round 11 in Shanghai. About 6 minutes or so where we're expecting the session to start. Although looking down in the Envision garage at the moment with Robin Freitz in the middle of your picture, he's taking quite a laissez-faire attitude to the start of this session.
He is bored out of
Curious to see Patrick Curie from Jaguar Racing in the Envision pit garage, which is, obviously they have a technical collaboration, but I would have expected him to be in the actual customer team pit garage for the session.
Well, you say that, but Envision have actually been quite quick in the wet conditions this year, so I wonder whether they might be trying to learn a trick or two to apply to the factory team ahead of quali.
Maybe.
It'll be interesting to see how it all goes down. You can see some drivers in the cockpit.
Dan's still playing.
Yeah, Dan is still playing.
I'm sure Pascal Verlin is jealous because he likes to play Call of Duty as well, and I'm sure he'd like to challenge him now.
Well, maybe they can get the monitors hooked up and get, a games console or something.
Well, Pascal used to travel with his own monitor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he has like a carry-on trolley with the PlayStation, and he opens up and he was playing Call of Duty.
So this is our first look at the track conditions after free practice 3. You can see Bruno Correa out there in the Porsche Taycan Turbo GT safety car. Still a fair amount of standing water on the circuit, taking that wider line. This is through turn 7 and 8, where we saw so much side-by-side action in the dry yesterday. And again, we're still waiting for confirmation as to what's going to happen in terms of qualifying, if we'll get the full session running or whether it will just be the group stages of qualifying. Let's just remind you who is supposed to be going out in Group A, though. It's going to be Oliver Rowland for Nissan, the championship leader, Pascal Wehrlein, Max Günther, Nick de Vries, Dan Ticktum, who we saw his phone a few moments ago, Eden Mortara, Nick Cassidy, Jake Hughes, Mitch Evans, Norman Nato and Zane Maloney. Should be the 11 drivers that will venture out on to the circuit. Of course, these heli shots you can see, of course, made in the dry conditions, unlike the wet weather that we have got now. You can see Group A is comprised of the odd-numbered drivers in the championship. Group B will be the even drivers.
Is he playing Call of Duty?
And yeah, just confirmation as well that we get the session now delayed by another 10 minutes. So 10 past the hour it's due to start. Now it will be 20 past. So another 14 minutes or so. And we'll hope for an improvement in the track conditions during that time.
Dan can go up a level.
Yeah, exactly. See if anyone's playing Candy Crush. Maybe they can make some inroads. This is in practice this morning, by the way. Taylor Barnard out on track. Some drivers only got 1, possibly 2 laps in if they were very lucky, but the session only ran under green flag conditions for just over 6 minutes. And you can see just how wet and sodden it was out on the track.
I kind of like the fact that they have to push, because knowing that that might be the starting grid, because normally they would just drive very safe and do an out-in, but trying to put a lap time in these conditions, taking the risks, that's why we see them sliding and struggling, so it's kind of actually cool.
Yeah, I think, you know, you like it because we're sitting inside the commentary box. Not sure how much you like it if you're aquaplaning towards the barrier like some of those other guys were this morning.
When I was in Tokyo, they asked me, like, do you miss it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
A bit less.
For sure not in these conditions.
I just heard from Saunders, who was down in pit lane, said he went out in the course car a few minutes ago and said the conditions are better than free practice 3, but across the track, entry to turn 1, entry to turn 5 were concerning, and turn 10 was, as he put it, a little bit spicy as well.
Oh, come on, Saunders, get the brush out.
Well, this morning you needed an arc, didn't you, out there on track, or Moses to part the seas or something along the lines of that. There is a lot of standing water. These are some highlights.
What? Double yellow turns 4.
Yeah.
Just practice.
Yeah, it's just on the timing screen. We can see in the commentary box that there was a brief yellow flag down at turn 4, so either that means the safety car's gone off or they're just doing a quick systems check.
Yeah, they're making sure that it works there because they've seen the mini cars that went off.
I was more interested, a message has come up saying that Parc Fermé will start at 9:15 local time, which is in 7 minutes time, which suggests that they think they will start at 9:20 because the cars go to Parc Fermé 5 minutes before the start of the session. So Parc Fermé, meaning you're not allowed to touch the cars anymore. Those are the conditions the cars will have to be in for qualifying. So that's a slightly more encouraging message. I mean, it's a bit of a sad day, isn't it, when we're trying to read into messages that come through, but we're all trying to be optimistic that we're going to see some action in qualifying.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of talk this morning about practice and whether it would define the grid order, a bit of confusion amongst us here in the commentary box as well as to whether it would be FP2 that would decide the results for the grid if qualifying was cancelled, or whether it would be FP3. Under the rules and regulations, it will be FP3 because this is round 11, yesterday was round 10, so different events effectively means that the results from today's event have to define the grid. This is Buemi's off-track excursion.
Oh, I went off like an idiot. I went completely off. I lost 3 seconds.
Okay, well, listen. We'll see what happens.
What I didn't understand was why nobody went into the four-wheel drive mode straight away. Can you not go into four-wheel drive mode straight out of the pits?
Yeah, good point. Like go for an attack mode.
Immediately, you'll have four-wheel drive. Yeah. You'll immediately get performance. You'll get temperature into the front tires probably because you'll have drive. That's what I didn't understand. I mean, I thought I was being a bit stupid by thinking there's something that I missed in the rules, but in practice you can use it whenever you want, right?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware. I know they do systems checks at the start of the session, so I wonder whether there's an inherent delay maybe as a result of that.
I don't know, to me it was just like, that's the first thing I'd want, is just go four-wheel drive straight away, get a time on the board, in case I'd cancel the grid.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of confusion as to whether the session would actually get underway, to be honest with you, and maybe some teams and drivers were caught off guard, none more so than Mahindra actually, who didn't get out at all in practice 3 this morning. So if the circumstances arose that defined the grid for the E-Prix this afternoon, essentially what that means is that it would be Mahindra 22nd and 21st on the grid. Linktree just ahead of Edo Mortara. Let's go down to Maserati. and catch up with Stoffel van Dorn from this morning's free practice 3 session and see what the winner from Tokyo made of it.
Stoffel van Dorn, so you've been out on track this morning, you've seen the conditions. What are your thoughts about how the rest of today is going to pan out?
Well, difficult to judge. The thing is, it keeps raining and there's just so much standing water. So, yeah, it's just a lot of aquaplaning out there. So we'll see how it evolves. I think if we ever gonna drive, then it just needs to kind of stop raining for a little while.
If qualifying gets underway, if you can make it into the duels, is that where things then begin to get a little bit easier if you can kick in the four-wheel drive?
Well, there's not going to be any duels. It's only going to be groups. So we just got to go out there and do the best we can.
And a race? You think it's on the cards? How good do you expect your package to be in those conditions?
Honestly, it's a bit of a lottery at the moment. So yeah, let's wait and see. I think racing like this is quite complicated with the spray, with the level of aquaplaning. Even the main straight is very hard to be flat out. So yeah, I think we just need a little bit better conditions before we can really do something.
Thank you, Stoffel. Cheers.
That's from Stoffel van Dorn earlier on in the morning. That was from free practice 3. Van Dorn, incidentally, finished that session 11th quickest, just 2 time laps he got in for that one. So we'll see how it goes. He, of course, was a winner in Tokyo in the wet, dry conditions, but you can see a lot of support in the grandstand for the Belgian driver.
Interesting. From China, support for Belgium.
Is there an alliance going on
Not
there?
that I know of.
No, particularly.
Maybe they like French fries, I don't know.
Or Belgian waffles.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Frites.
I made a Belgian waffle the other day. Then I made a Frenchman talk nonsense in the afternoon. It was great. Anyway.
What did you say?
I've been waiting to get that one out for a while. Anyway, Jake Hughes inside the Maserati garage as we look at the teammate of Stoffel van Dorn. Jake Hughes, 18th quickest at the end of free practice 3. Where did he finish yesterday? Down in 16th place. I mean, the Maseratis were actually running in the race quite high up in the early stages. They were right at the sharp end of the grid, but sort of faded towards the middle, latter stages of the race.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe they have a different car setup to the DS Penske, because I think the strength of the DS Penske was the car balance, and for the car to be able to be very energy efficient. So maybe. Yeah.
Well, let's catch up with Jaguar TCS team principal James Barclay.
James Barclay, you've just been inside the garage. What's the verdict on the team about the current weather forecast?
Well, it hasn't really changed, to be honest. It's been consistent. The wind is picking up again, and yeah, it looks like the rain is here to stay. So no change, I would say, literally since FP3.
I mean, FP3 was a little bit better for you guys, so perhaps maybe that's what you're leaning towards, hoping happens?
Well, honestly, I mean, we just got to be ready for whatever happens, to be honest. But yeah, no, really strong FP3. Both guys did a great job straight away. So yeah, but let's wait and see. It's going to be is what it is, right? We just have to be ready for these conditions. But it doesn't look like it's changed.
And how do you turn things around today after a really tricky day yesterday?
Yeah, just reset. I mean, honestly, yesterday was really, unfortunate. Nick was in a great place, no fault of his own. I think James called it really well in commentary earlier. I'm surprised there was no action taken. We lost a really potential great result, but that is what it is. We can't look back, right? This is the game. You've got to look forwards. You've got to regroup. But I said to the team last night, we keep putting ourselves back in that position, and we are. And yeah, it'll come good. It'll come good. You can't overanalyze these things. You just have to keep doing your processes, and it'll come good.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, James. Thank you to Alexa. Challenging day at the office yesterday for Jaguar TCS Racing. A double non-score for both of their drivers. Penalty for Mitch Evans, and then contact with Nick Cassidy in the race, causing him to end up right down the
further delay, 15
minutes. The session's been delayed
minutes.
by a further 10 minutes, so hopefully 15 minutes to go, and we'll get on-track action to begin in qualifying here.
Yeah, another delay then, 15 minutes to wait, and it's getting a little bit now, isn't it, where we know that this is going to be a no-go session. We can tell it's coming. They should really put us out of the misery. I know they want to try and set the grid, but at this point, it's getting to the point where it was like in Tokyo. We got to half past the hour then, and they they called off the action, as well as Ollie Rowland just watches in now. We're watching on the international feed that we get up here in the commentary box as well. We get the same pictures that you see at home, but when TNT go to ad breaks, we get the international pictures thanks to our media pass login. Taylor Barnard is now on his computer, keeping an eye on things as well. If the camera can just pan, I don't know if they're looking at data, or if he's doing a Dan Tictum and he's going to be playing some games out there. And Tom, if you're saying anything right now about it, do not, because we cannot hear you on the international feed. So I really hope that he's not mentioning, because I did like the joke, and I did send him a joke. I did send him a text saying how much I appreciated that joke about the, what was it, Belgian waffle and... was it? Yeah, he made a Belgian waffle and a French something or other the other day, yeah. I quite enjoyed that one. Don't know where my voice has gone now at the moment. Yeah, so the safety car's coming into turn 1 now, I can tell you, and there is no visible change. There's still a lot of standing water at the exit here. The rain's still falling. We're in the Jiading region if you're watching our radar, and you can tell there's more rain incoming. So that's the worst thing as well. The race director and the safety car driver, Bruno, is out there on the circuit right now, so they're keeping an eye in. And it's this rain. Let's just look. You see, there's more rain coming into the Jiading section. Let's just take away the blog, and you can see what we're on about here. There's a huge cell of moderate to heavy coming into the Jiading region. So this is now live, and this is coming in over the next 25 minutes. So if we... unless they send all the cars out to do a run, which isn't the way qualifying works, we are not going to have it. So you can see moderate is the light blue, moderate goes into a red, and heavy goes into the yellow. You can see how much yellow is coming in to the Jiading region, just blowing across the circuit. And the safety cars having a few issues out there as well, trying to keep up with it. Yeah, there's a lot of standing water. We know these tyres don't exactly do well. We heard Dan Tictum just earlier on saying that they don't do that well at this circuit. So I wouldn't be too surprised, but let's go back over to the world feed.
About 10 minutes' time.
Well, we appreciate what you say, Tom. We love it. Well, again, Bruno is almost having too much fun out on track, but still checking the conditions. We hope the session is going to get underway in the next 10, 20 minutes. But what I love to see is that driver eye really gives us an insight into what the drivers are doing in the cockpit of their car while waiting for the news of when qualifying is going out. And there's Dan Tictum playing Call of Duty. Unbelievable.
I mean, it's whatever you do to relax. And Dan, that seems to be the thing that... maybe he's doing that every session, we just don't know about it. Maybe
Absolutely.
It's not just because of the weather conditions we've got today.
Just to interrupt, I said about how much I like the joke, and Tom's just replied with, ha ha ha, I'm glad to help. So that's quite funny.
At that. Hence the dedication to the
Now
cause.
we know why.
Yes.
All spare time spent playing Call of Duty.
But I think Dan is actually streaming quite a lot in his private time when he's not on a race weekend or sat in the car preparing for qualifying. I think he's actually streaming, playing
He likes
online
to engage
a
with
lot.
like his fans and like people that support him, and I think that's one of the ways he does it. It's what he likes to do.
How would you have helped, like, relax in this situation, which is obviously quite stressful?
Not by doing that. I think I'd have been like Max Günther, like eyes closed, maybe having a little power nap, something like that.
James?
No, the napping in the car is quite nice, actually. I used to do that before the session.
It is good as well because the seats are moulded to you, so it's really comfortable in the cars. You know, it looks like single seater cockpit would be crowded and tight, but actually because the seat's moulded to you, it's really comfy.
But surely when you've got, like, adrenaline pumping through you, you just feel like, oh, just have a little
The best thing,
power nap.
no, but the best thing you can have before this session is an empty mind, because an empty mind is a clear one. You have no preconceived ideas. You go out on track and you take exactly the moment that you're in. You're so present, and that's the key to being fast in these conditions.
Okay, having an empty mind, that says a lot about racing drivers, doesn't it? Right, let's go down to Alexa now, who's talking to McLaren driver Sam Bird.
Sam Bird, first things first, let's talk weather. What do you think, how is this going to play out?
I mean, it's definitely not as intense as what we were supposed to drive in FP3, but the problem is that the surface here is super smooth, very grippy, but super smooth, and we can't clear the water, so we just sit on top of the water, and we're aquaplaning quite a lot. And although the intensity has dropped, it doesn't really change anything. It's like, well, it was impossible earlier, and now it's slightly less impossible, but still, I think the volume of water is too much.
So in your mind, you don't think we'll be qualifying?
Let's see. I mean, it is, we've seen the intensity dropping slightly, and we all want this to happen. We all want it to go ahead, especially for the people that have turned up today and the people watching at home. But trust me, it's really, really tricky out there with the Hankook tyre that deliver like an all-round package for both wet and dry. Something needs to be sacrificed, and unfortunately it is wet conditions that are sacrificed quite a lot, making this kind of condition really, really tough.
And can you tell me a little bit about how much, if we do get to go racing later on today, do you think your Neil McLaren Formula E car will suit, the setup will suit what we've got?
I think there are packages that might suit the wet a little bit better, but you never know in these conditions. I mean, it could be a red flag session, it could be full of full course yellows, safety cars, we could be quick, we don't know.
Thank you so much, Sam. We'll let you get back to it.
Sam Bird there, one of the OGs of Formula E, who started way back in Season 1 and had a nice little confidence boost for him yesterday, finishing in P7. A few points in the bag is important for him at this point.
Well, confidence, but his teammate is absolutely dominating him this season, so he needs to get a strong performance in today.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult, isn't it, for Sam Bird, because he has so much experience, and yet looking across at the other side of the garage, when the rookie, your teammate, is doing so incredibly well, I mean, how do you take that?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be putting the pressure on him, that's for sure. I mean, Sam is very wise to, you know, the inter-team politics that goes on down the pit lane, so he knows that performance is the best currency in this world we're in racing, so like James said, fundamentally, if his team's outperforming him, that's what he needs to put his focus on, not, you know, talking to other teams or anything like that. Start performing, start getting the maximum out of that package, and the other teams will come to you.
And also, actually, Taylor, to be fair to Sam as well, has always said how supportive Sam Bird has been, and you don't always get that with teammates. So, you know, big credit to Sam for doing that.
Yeah, credit for Sam, but at the end of the day, you know, motor racing is an individual sport. Yes, you drive for a team, but if Sam wants to prove himself and continue to race in his championship, he's going to have to start delivering some strong results in the rest of the season.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's go down to Alexa now, who is with Lucas de Grassi.
Lucas de Grassi, let's get your weather forecaster hat on. You've got enough experience in Formula E to know what it's like to try and take these cars out on track. Do you think it's feasible today?
Look, the amount of rain is constant now for the whole day, around 3 millimeters per hour. So in free practice was the same. So if free practice was cancelled because there was too much water, there is no way the water is actually less now. The water is the same or more. And the only way to get the water out of the track is actually putting the cars out there. So in the end, you take the risk. Do you put the cars out there in a condition that is with too much water for the cars to remove it, or you cancel it like they did it in Tokyo? And if they have to be consistent to free practice, then the track is not better. So then if they cancel free practice, they have to cancel quali.
What's your opinion?
It's hard to say because I'm not out there, but it was very hard. So for you guys at home to have an idea how bad it was, I never went full throttle in my whole lap, even on the straights. And I was P8. So it's very scary out there. You're aquaplaning a lot, you're sideways, you're even on the straights, you are off the ground and the rear is moving. So it is very tricky and it could cause an accident, but also it's racing. So it's really, for me, borderline.
So safety just has to come first here, right?
From a driver's perspective or from an organizer's perspective?
Let's go drivers.
In my honest opinion, I think free practice should have gone on, should have kept on, because the track was actually, the cars were drying the track up. But if, to be consistent, if they cancel free practice, they have to cancel quali.
Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah.
Brilliant explanation there from Lucas. Thank you, Alexa. Joining us now is Dan Tickton.
Hello.
Dan, most importantly, how's Call of Duty going?
Oh, yeah, I was just watching a little video from Metaphor. I mean, most people won't know who he is, but yeah, he's one of my favourite YouTubers to watch, so that was keeping me entertained.
Apparently you used to play against...
We did play him, yeah, we played him.
I was never as good as Dan, though. Dan was carrying me hard in the Call of Duty days.
Yeah, I've played a lot of Call of Duty in my time, yeah.
So how are things going in the garage? A nice lazy start to the day for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were all up at, 4 or 5, and I knew it was going to be to no avail. I think we all knew that. Well, at least we tried. Yeah, no, it's the right thing to do is to try. We're here anyway, so yeah. Hopefully something gets started soon. But the problem is if it keeps raining, even if it's only a little bit like this, the surface water is just too much, and the tyre just can't clear it. So yeah.
And did you learn anything from the free practice this morning?
No, apart from nearly having the largest accident of my life in turn 5, and then I managed to keep out the wall somehow. But no, it's just the tyre just doesn't clear the water.
What are the big challenges of driving a Formula E car in the wet weather conditions? Obviously, right now we're saying too much standing water, but just generally driving these in like drivable wet conditions. What are the challenges?
Well, I mean, the tyre was slightly better last year in the rain. Obviously, we sort of tried to focus more on the dry with this tyre this year, and it's a lot better in the dry, but it's very difficult to make a compound that can do both better. So, yeah, it just doesn't clear the water well enough. But, I mean, these cars are twitchy at the best of times, so in the wet, even with a grippy tyre, they'd still be difficult to drive. But, yeah, so...
And looking at the conditions now, are you just desperate to get out there, or are you quite happy that the race director is taking their time to decide whether or not you should?
I think if we had tyre warmers and we could go out with a bit of temp, maybe it could be a bit better, but... To be honest, no, I don't think it's right that we're going out in these conditions, to be honest. Yeah,
and what about if you had the all-wheel drive active for this
that would help.
session?
I mean, I literally was thinking that 20 minutes ago. Every time it's wet, we should just have four-wheel drive. Yeah, it would help. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Well, you know the FIA the best. Go on, go and have a word. Sort it out.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, all right. Well, nice one. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. No worries. Cheers.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Get back to it, and we want to see you on the podium again. Nice one. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it must be really hard at this moment just to be hanging around, waiting, not knowing what's going on.
Or just play Call of Duty, or watch your online streaming. I mean, it seems like it keeps him relaxed and focused, and
everyone's different. I think that's the important thing. Like, everyone does different things to switch their mind off and to sort of chill out. And well, the sounds of how Dan's explaining it there, it doesn't sound like we're going to go get out there anytime soon. As much as we can hope for it, and the safety car's still going around and doing those reconnaissance laps, but we just got to wait and see, really.
But it's interesting, the different perspectives, because Dan, I think, is obviously sort of feeling quite happy that they're not out on track yet in these rather treacherous wet conditions. James, I know you're like, get them out there, come on, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we heard a little bit from Dan about the tyres, that they don't clear the water so well, but at the end of the day, they're racing drivers, these are racing cars. You can go out on track, you drive to the conditions that are out there. Now, you can drive slower. I think here we have a lot of runoff. It's not a Tokyo situation where you're in between the walls. I'm not saying that we should send them out because it's dangerous, but I do think it's possible to go out there. I think it's possible to have a session, and I think it would be great fun for all of us to watch.
But James, if they go out there and they drive slower to the conditions with getting the heat into the tyres, that almost compounds the problem, doesn't it? So I guess that's the other side of the coin there, is that as much as you can drive to the conditions, if you drive to those conditions as they are right now, it's probably going to be even worse and even trickier for them out there.
Yeah, but the tyres are definitely colder in the garage at the moment, Billy.
Very true.
So they should get warmer if they went round on track. I mean, look, it's a difficult call for a race director. Personally, I think the conditions are good enough, but then I'm not in charge of that, unfortunately.
Are you vying for a job?
No, thank you.
We like you here, James.
Right, well, hopefully we will have some news from the race director soon about what is going on. We're going to have a little wander down the pit lane and see if we can catch up with any other drivers. We're at the Mahindra garage right now, Eduardo Motora and Nick De Vries, who have really turned things around this season. I mean, James, you kind of predicted that Mahindra were going to have this, tweak to the powertrain and a software update, and it really has seen a huge amount of improvement to their performance in the car.
No, they've done a brilliant job as a team this season. season. They've made a huge step forwards. They keep gaining in every condition. They made a big step in the 350 kilowatt all-wheel drive system. And we can see Nick here is in his car, all ready to go.
Should we go and speak to him?
I think he has the same opinion as me on the conditions. Do you want to get in there, Billy?
Yeah, should we get in there? And
why not? Give it a try.
Come on then, let's see what we've got here. Nick, how's it going in there? You look pretty comfy in there, mate.
Sorry, what? Couldn't hear you.
You look pretty comfy in the car there. You're still in the cockpit. How's it feeling in there? You waiting to get out there?
Yeah, warm and cozy, but the wait is getting long.
It has been a long wait, but the conditions do look tricky out there. So do you think we're likely to get out there anytime soon, in your opinion?
Well, if they are intending to take the FP3 results, I hope we get out.
OK, well, we'll leave you to it. You look pretty comfy in there. Nick De Vries wants it not to be the FP3 result, that's for sure.
That's most likely why he's in there, strapped in, ready to go. Then.
Yeah, he's making it very aware that we can get out there, we can get back on track, and we can have a proper qualifying session. That's what he's trying to allude to there.
It's such a good point, though. But now that we have had quite a few wet races this season and qualifying has been cancelled, suddenly the position in the free practice sessions is actually really important. So if this happens going forward, I think we're going to see maybe an increased performance from some of the drivers.
I had this actually, interestingly, in a completely different race series. When I was racing back in 2019, I was fastest in free practice in the dry conditions the previous day. Then it rained for qualifying, got cancelled. I ended up getting pole position as a result of it. So I've been on the positive side of things, but equally there's drivers like Nick De Vries right now who's saying we need to get out there because I had a terrible free practice, and if we go off that, my race is going to be a lot harder than it needs to be.
I mean, the thing is, you got Nick strapped in the car ready, but Dan was also at the bottom of the times from that session this morning. He's playing Call of Duty, so I guess it's different mindsets. And
maybe now he's seen Nick's approach, maybe he'll go, actually, I should be pushing for us to get out there a bit more. Although he did go from 21st yesterday to nearly being on the podium, so maybe he thinks, I can get on the podium from anywhere.
That's true.
But no pit boost. So the strategy's going to be very different today. Let's go to Alexa, who has found Robin Frines from Envision.
Robin Frines, as you just walked over to me, you were on your phone, playing a little game, passing the time. How are you getting on?
Playing some poker. I think I lost about 100 million today, so not going well.
Same energy as Dan playing Call of Duty. You also a fan?
Yeah, I play Call of Duty sometimes, together with him, and Pascal sometimes as well, so...
Who's better?
I need to carry the team all the time, so...
And, well, I came to find you, because you're the master of the wet weather. You won Formula E's first ever race in the wet. How are we feeling about today?
Well, I was the master. Now I give the trophy to Seb because he won Monaco. You know, we call him Moses winning the team now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm always feel quite happy in the wet, and I think I was quite decent in Monaco as well on pure pace. But now in FP3, it was too much. We were sliding around and aquaplaning. It's all good and fun when you still can control the car, but in turn 5, a lot of people went off because you just can't control it anymore because of aquaplaning. So it's just getting too dangerous.
Is that the big difference between what we have today and perhaps previous wet races we've had in Formula E? Is that lack of car control?
Yeah, we had it a bit in Monaco at the beginning of the session. It got better in the race. The race was fine. But here, yeah, if you turn hard left suddenly without doing anything, it's just too dangerous.
Whip out your crystal ball. Do you see us going racing today?
Hard to say. There's more rain coming. I don't see us doing qualifying, which I'm actually fine with because I was FP3, I was P3, so I'm happy with that. But I don't know. It depends what the weather's going to do.
Thank you so much, Robin. We'll let you get back to your poker.
Yes, thank you.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Alexa and Robin. And joining us now, we have the team principal from Andretti, Roger Griffiths. You have seen all conditions of weather in your years of motor racing, including in Formula E. What do you think is going to go down today? Oh, and welcome, Jake Dennis, as well. How are you doing?
I mean, hopefully we get to run later on. What we're watching on the radar is another cell of weather that's coming up behind the one that's just passed through. So maybe there's an opportunity to get qualifying in the break, but we got to be careful that because it looks like there's even more rain coming. So just got to be on it, be ready to go when the green flag is given. Hopefully the race director will allow us to go out and to run qualifying, and let's get some excitement going.
And how are you feeling about the conditions that we might have out there today? Like, are you confident as a team that you've got a strong package if we do get wet weather driving and qualifying in the race?
I mean, I think it's going to be more down to the guy standing next to me. I mean, I think we'll do our best from the team
Further
side.
delay
but
of 5
in
minutes.
conditions like this, it really comes down to the ability of Jake and Nico to perform well, and I've got utmost confidence that these guys can do it. They're probably not relishing the idea of going out in these slippery conditions, but this is really where the driver can make a huge difference, and what we as a team can do, I think, is quite modest in those conditions.
And Jake, being English, you must have had a lot of practice in your junior career in these conditions, so fun out there?
Yeah, definitely a lot of practice over my years of single-seaters and karting. Generally always quite good in karting in the rain. I was quite tall, which is a massive benefit back in those days. But yeah, generally I do like the rain. We did struggle a little bit in Tokyo. We weren't that competitive there, but here's a completely different circuit, so you never know. But yeah, right now it's just way too slippery to drive. So yeah, hopefully we get out on track, but we just need to see what this weather does, really.
Is it slippery everywhere, or do you just have aquaplaning? What's the main constraint in the moment?
There's a few areas on track which are the worst. T5 is by far the most slippery. The actual start line is probably the best. There we do reach full throttle, but everywhere else it's a little bit sketchy. So yeah, aquaplaning in 5 and 7 is probably the worst.
Jake, put us in the cockpit, because in a lot of other race series, normally when we have wet weather conditions, that thing that sort of holds us from getting on track is normally visibility when you're following other cars, but it doesn't feel like with this series that's really the problem we're facing right now. It's more the tyres and that aquaplaning.
Yeah, exactly. It's more the aquaplaning. The tyre just can't really disperse the water quick enough. The normal aquaplaning is a little bit, if sometimes the car bottoms out like with the amount of rain. Here it's just the tyre just can't clear the water quick enough, so that's what creates our aquaplaning issue, not so much the ride height. So yeah, we just need a tyre which obviously supplies a little bit more grip for us right now. With the multi-purpose tyre, it obviously has its benefits but also its negatives, and right now obviously in conditions like this it is a bit of a negative. So yeah, we'll try and obviously hope that the weather clears up and we can get some running in.
Jake, how would you reflect on your race yesterday?
It was a tough day in the office for all of us. Yeah, not a great race for sure. You know, I had really high optimism going into that race after Tokyo, where we had a really good race car. And yeah, obviously me and Nico struggled quite a lot. Just really bad degradation with no efficiency as well. So put those two together, you're going to struggle and be at the back. And yeah, a bit of a shame, a shock. And yeah, honestly, we haven't really analysed anything because we knew it was going to be wet today. We just went straight into making the thing as quick as possible for today. So yeah, a lot of homework to do next week. We'll be back on the simulator and stuff like that, trying to analyse what went wrong and how we can do better in Jakarta.
And then bigger picture, like the whole season so far, like how do you kind of assess how things have been progressing? Obviously, you've been with Andretti as a team for a long while now. So did you are you where you expected to be coming into the season, or did you think that there was more potential in the package?
It's a difficult one. Last year I really struggled a lot with in qualifying. Like I had no performance in the braking. My left foot felt useless. I was so lost with what the brakes were going to do. I feel like I've got on top of that this year, and you know, I feel like I'm really delivering on all of my laps. We're in the duels most of the time now. I feel really confident in that aspect, but it's like the racing side now is taking a bit of a hit. Yeah, last year we were always back to front. Now we're like generally front to back. So just need to try and piece it all together. It is slowly coming together. It's just not pieced together perfectly yet, and we are rebuilding. We're not the same team as what we were in season 9, and we lost some good people, and now to try and rebuild all that, it takes a bit of time. And yeah, I'm confident that we can just continue to build for the rest of season 11, and then season 12 we can try and put it all back together again.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. Well, we'll keep fingers crossed that we can get out on track and the results do come today.
Thank you.
Jake Dennis and Roger Griffiths there.
Session will start.
If you did join us yesterday, the conditions were incredibly different. It was sun-soaked on the track. We had an action-packed qualifying session. So let's look back at how it all played out in the duels. Head-to-head battles between 8 drivers, all driving on 350 kilowatts.
So, Nick Cassidy and Jake Dennis out on track then here for the first of the dual stages of qualifying. These drivers, of course, finished 1 and 2 in the World Championship.
Well, I'll take over for now while they play that, because we've got the information that we might be going in 5 minutes' time. That's the current confirmed run. on our pictures. So that is great news if that is the case. But let's hear from our top three in the press conference from yesterday.
Welcome to the post-race press conference following round 10 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship here at the Shanghai International Circuit. Our top three drivers are in front of us here. In third place, Taylor Barnard with Neon McLaren, Jean-Eric Vergne from DS Penske, and our race winner this afternoon, Maximilian Günther, also with DS Penske. Your second race win of the season, perfect strategy, because when you start on pole position in Formula E, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily the favourite to win.
Yeah, really, what a day for us as a team here to sit P1, P2 is incredible. Very, very proud of what we've done today, and really mega day. Already qualifying was super strong. Had a very good feeling in the car. We delivered really good laps, and that was the first milestone of the day. But as you mentioned, in Formula E, these races are so complex and long, especially a race like today with 50 pit boost. And we just really managed well, good execution, obviously good pace, but as well, very, very good strategy. We waited quite long with our last attack mode just because we were able to, being in front, and then having this overlap and good energy at the end. This then gave us the shot for the win, and was quite clear that then I needed to pass Ollie and try to disappear in the distance and try to gap him as fast as I could, and this worked out nicely. And then I saw the guys fighting for P2, and then I just did the most efficient laps I can, and winning with 7 seconds is pretty awesome.
好，首先呢，我们现在来到的就是 ABB 上海站，对。然后今天我们现在是那个赛后的发布会，也今天获得了前3位获奖者的参与。首先呢，请我们今天的冠军冈特尔分享一下他的一个赛后的体验。因为其实，在赛前他并不是一个最热门的夺冠选手，所以想问一下他的体验。首先呢，他答案就是我们今天呢是潘世奇2位车手都能够荣膺第1位和第2位，他为此为整个团队感到非常的骄傲，而且他在坐在车里的过程中感觉就很好，同时呢也觉得今天是运气加持。像这样的比赛一直是非常复杂，而且比赛的时间很长，尤其是今天。
Of some of the duels that happened yesterday. But of course, as soon as we started replaying the duels, we have had news that qualifying is getting underway in just a few moments' time. So to confirm, it will be Group A out for 15 minutes, followed by Group B for 15 minutes. There will be no duels. Now, we do know that certain drivers, like Oliver Rowland, for example, will always focus on his 300 quali lap rather than the 350, which they get going through to the duels. So the drivers that practice that the most will ultimately, I suppose, be better off coming into the group sessions.
I'm not sure you can practice for these conditions. I think it's going to be amazing to watch them go out in the groups. We're going to see the guys having to work so hard to keep the car on track, to try and extract the lap time. It's going to be very exciting.
Billy, what can we expect? What are your predictions?
I mean, it's so hard to tell in these conditions, but I think the driver who's the smoothest with their inputs, who builds the confidence throughout that 15-minute window, I think you might see a few drivers going out there, maybe going a bit too quick too soon, making mistakes, and that confidence. It's all about building towards the end of the session and delivering that lap when the weather is at its best.
Yeah, right. Well, cars are now out on track, so let's go to our commentary team of Tom Brooks, Andre Lotterer and Corinne Chadwick.
It's taken a while, but we're going to get the green light, everybody. We are going to get underway here for a qualifying session. Yeah, 45 minutes later, that's how long it's taken to get this session green. But finally, we can get going. So, it will be group qualifyings only. There will not be a full-on session that will run to any other run. So this is it. The weather radar has got to its best point, and we will go underway. How long are we going to last? Bigger rainstorm coming in over the circuit. We're in a lull right now. It's going to be 12 minutes, and then another 12 for Group B, and it will run consistently. 24 minutes then to decide the running order. We go green. Qualifying is underway for the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. And out on the circuit goes Rowland, Verline, Gunther, De Vries, Tincton, Mortara, Cassidy, Hughes, Evans, Nato and Maloney And you can't hold up in the pit lane. This isn't Formula One. You have to go, and you have to go straight away.
Pascal, give him a little love tap.
Yeah, I can imagine that there is a lot of pensive faces in those cockpits of these Formula E cars at the moment to try and get out on track and find out where the grip is. You see Pascal Wehrlein going for that sort of wider line. Lots of tracks being picked up by the cars. Of course, there's not any track activity of any note aside from the safety car going around to clear the standing water on this circuit.
Well, it's a good point that Ticton raised, actually. You know, if there's concerns around safety in these conditions, there should be an option to run the cars in four-wheel drive. Even if it's still in 300 mode, give them the option of the four-wheel drive.
That's just going to improve the traction, but it's not going to improve the aquaplaning that they have in turn 5, for example, or you know, the struggles on the brakes are the same. But yeah, for sure it will help a bit. Lap times will be faster, but I think in terms of aquaplaning, it won't change much.
Oh, there's a lot of water. There's a lot of aquaplanes going on the warm-up laps as well. The standing water is atrocious out here. We're watching right now Nick Cassidy fighting for control, and especially down at the hairpin section as well, at the bottom half of the track. So yeah, as we knew, turn 10 is a crunch point. This is where Wehrlein is on the radio.
So you have a gap behind of 10 seconds. You have a gap behind of 10 seconds, so warm up your tires.
So trying to find...
Cassidy not following race director's instructions have been noted. That's for stopping in the fast lane as well. So they can move the start time quite a lot. Mark Preston's just telling me as well. So Mark's just texted me in saying as well that they can move the start time of both the race and qualifying. So we might still be in that period to be okay. Wehrlein fighting for control. Off-board camera looks like he can still hold that inside line, but he's twitching like crazy. There's a lot of standing water. At least I don't think it's actually raining at the moment. We're in a bit of a lull, but there is a huge cloud that is coming over the circuit. Cassidy's got the fastest first sector, 30.496. Remember, if we can't complete Group B of qualifying, for whatever reason, then this session will be declared null and void. The times go for free practice this morning, but we've got Wehrlein already nearly off the circuit, down at turns 6 and 7. It's unbelievable how much slip the rear of the car is giving you as they come under pressure. Mitch Evans then has gone through. He's done a 1:34.444. Those times very similar to what we had this morning. As well as the drivers are limited to 300 kilowatts per hour, and they are linked to a two-wheel drive, not the four-wheel drive that these cars can do. They can use that for the race later on. So Evans is fastest. Now everybody else is going to try and get a lap time in, but they're going to run consistently over the next 8 minutes. They will not come back in to change over. They are going to go consistent. Cassidy now 1:33.038, but he's been noted for failing to follow the race director's instructions. Wehrlein goes second. Gunther, winner from yesterday, looks like he's improving as well, so there might be still some traction for him. Ollie Rowland in the middle sector is quicker as they come out. Ooh, not like that Zamboni at the exit of the circuit as well. It might need that. Looks like an ice rink out there. Abysmal right now.
Those two drivers.
Cassidy's
you can see the graphic there
investigation.
indicates the drivers will be going through to the duels. There are no dual stages of qualifying, just to remind you. It is just the group stages as we understand it.
Unbelievable that even in these conditions, the top three are only 34 thousandths apart.
Yeah, they found that limit quite precisely, I would say.
Yeah, lap time's a lot faster than we saw in practice this morning. We were in the 1:36. It's 36.2 was the quickest time we saw. We're already into the 1:33s. Now, Dan Tickton, we saw him sat on his phone watching a YouTube stream prior to the start of qualifying. What can he do? Goes night fastest for his first banker lap time in this session.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been off the road somewhere because he's
lost
maybe
a lot
10
of
seconds
time,
off the pole time. So maybe he's had a mistake or just aborted the lap for traffic to try and make some space.
Yeah, it looks like, because his last sector is the one that's like 9 seconds off.
So in group stages of qualifying, normally what we see is drivers doing push laps, so they're cooling the tyres down, cooling everything down. Do you think there's a case to say that they'll just go out and do continual push laps until
Yeah,
they check
definitely.
the flat?
They want to build a rhythm and build that temperature and learn. Every lap they get a bit more information on where the water is and where they can push the limits. And yeah, it might be down to the last lap.
Yeah, absolutely right. What about Maximilian Günther, winner from this race yesterday? Comes across the timing line, improves, stays fourth quickest as it stands for now. Now here is Norman Nato in the Nissan, just in front of his teammate Oliver Rowland, who slides his way out of the final corner. Rowland improves up to second fastest. Hughes also not looking too bad in the first sector of this lap and improves in the final sector to go up to fourth as well.
I think Nissan need to get on the radio to Nato and tell them to swap with Rowland, because he's nearly 2 seconds slower than Rowland, and he's going to start holding Rowland up. You know, you want to keep the rhythm. You don't want to upset Rowland's rhythm here. He's in good flow and second quickest at the moment.
But I like what we're seeing here, by the way. Black and white flag for Jake Hughes for driving unnecessarily slowly has come through on race control. That must be him coming through the pit lane. I wonder if Cassidy would receive the same thing as De Vries crosses the line. 11th fastest in the moment, no improvement there. 4 seconds down on his own best lap time. Mitch Evans still circulating. Cassidy in front, fastest first sector. Verline's got the fastest second sector. Here comes Evans across the line. Is he going to improve some time? Oh, only goes 5th fastest at the moment. Zane Maloney up in 3rd, having improvements. Cassidy over the line. Let's hit the wall there as well. The camera shook so much. Cassidy's, improves. 132.392 over the line. Verline to provisional pole. 132.392. So 4, and now Hughes, who's got that black and white flag, has got the traction. Gunther over the line as well. And stays in 8th position. It's Jake Hughes who's got provisional pole position as things stand as well. The traction here is just unbelievable. The amount of slip and slide we're getting on these cars, and Evans really struggling for braking down to turn number 7 as well. It's driving on an ice rink right now. It's unbelievable. It looks like the rain's actually starting to come down again, so these might be the best of the conditions we have for qualifying so far.
Contact. You can see Evans just all elbows and angles trying to find some grip through these long left-handers.
Oopsies.
Just listen to the throttle. He's struggling so much to get anywhere close to full throttle.
Rowland got that black and white flag.
It's Bambi on ice through these corners, isn't it? Just sliding around all over the place. Coming down in towards the final few corners, which is where it all kicked off in the latter stages of the E-Prix yesterday for the podium positions. Evans making his way through. 8th quickest for him currently. Is this going to be an improvement? We've seen him fighting for grip and fighting for traction. Loses time in that 3rd sector to stay 8th fastest at the moment. Meanwhile, Maximilian Günther, pole position for him here yesterday with DS Penske.
Oh, rear snaps
on the Jaguar. Nick Cassidy's gone even faster, Tom. So he's made kind of a gap to Evans. 1.8 seconds to go.
Possible tight slide inside line T6 faster. Currently T1 for 400.
Okay, so it's here, there, and everywhere coming through at the moment for Verline. There's still some traction. Friday Rowland goes very deep. Coming into turn 10 and 11 in the last corner, nearly went into the grass, and that would have been an end to his session. He's kept it on the ice-looking black stuff over the line and doesn't improve, obviously. Stays in 7th position. Remember, there are no duels in this session. It's just a 2-part qualifying. This is what it looks. So he's got a car in front of him, and he just hits the standing water aquaplanes and nearly takes out his own teammate coming through there as well. So that was Norman Nato, who's running at 11th position as well. So, yeah, this is not looking great. Nissan very much know that they're in a bit of trouble here. This is Nick De Vries in the Mahindra. Oh, and he's spun! Coming through turn 7 and 8. Full waterfall. It's a 90-degree spin. He's got it going. But, yeah, De Vries has gone for a spin. He's aquaplaned off. The rear's just stepped loose on him as he's tried to put the traction down with the all-electric power. It's rear-wheel drive only in these sessions. You don't get the four-wheel drive at 350 kilowatts per hour. Bit of a design flaw, but 2 minutes to go then.
In front or to have visibility, and then it bunches up.
I think Nissan should just go on the swap. Tickton very sideways. Through turn 5.
He'll get one more lap after this one.
Yeah. So. An interesting point I've just thought about as well is that Group B is coming on the way in a couple of minutes' time here, chaps, and track conditions are improving.
Are the fast people braking the front grip? Are they just understeering and braking the front grip?
So Tictum's trying to find the right method.
Oh!
As he goes very sideways and off the track at turn 8. But just going back to that point, so Group B's out in a few moments' time. Track conditions, if they don't get any worse, there's a good possibility that session's going to be faster. So those who are out in Group B in a few minutes are going to be, in theory, a lap time advantage, and therefore a grid position advantage as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they will start on the odd side of the grid, whichever is the faster group. But obviously in these conditions,
it's just we're talking about just one position.
One position, I think it's not the end of the world on this track. Just
Yeah, give the race we're expecting as well. Let's have a look at Tictum, who was all over the shop on that last lap. This was a super slow-mo. You can see him just trying to get the car rotated. He was trying to induce understeer. That's what he was talking about there. You can see him throwing the car in. It's almost like an old karting technique when you're on slick tyres to try and induce understeer to stop the car spinning. But there wasn't much grip at all, and all it gave him was a lot of rear instability through these sweeping corners.
sliding on the top surface of the tyre. But this is the last lap for everybody, so they've got to make this lap count. And Nato still driving along in front of Roland. Now he gets out of the way. I mean, it's going to be tight. So now they've got Nato out of the way for Roland's last lap. He should be okay. There's 20 seconds to go.
I'm laughing if you're wondering why. I've just said to Mark Preston as well. Mark, I asked him, is there a cut-off time? Because they can move the start time to the race. And is there an actual cut-off? And he said, probably just sunset. A couple of minutes later, and then he's replied, although no sun. It's cloud cover. So that's going to be quite interesting. We'll need to find the point of darkness, but it's quite dark now. Checkered flag's out, and I think we've got our running order of this part of the group. Mark, if you're watching down there in the Lola Yamaha Apt Garage, well done for your boy Zane Maloney to go in 6th on the grid at the moment. Now that's going to be either on the back of the grid, so it's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as it goes. So it's either 11th or 12th for Maloney. That's how they're qualifying this part due to the two side-by-side. So Cassidy and Verline battling over either row 1 or row 2 of the grid. That's what you've got to remember it as right now. As they bounce through the curbs, someone's taken the gravel onto the exit level as well. That'll wash away quite quickly. Verline over the line, stays second. Cassidy on top. I don't think anyone else is really improving on the monitors. Gunther doesn't. Roland's apparently stopped on the circuit and is now coming to the pit lane. Big snap for Gunther at the back as he comes over the line and takes the checkered flag. Okay, so there we go. We've got it. Cassidy, Verline, Hughes, DeFries, Gunther, Maloney, Evans, Mortara, Roland, Tictum and Nato. That's your 11 runners so far. And no one going to change over with the overall results, sadly. Group B will start in 4 minutes' time. It's a quick change around here in Shanghai.
A second away, Nato a second away. Yeah, so everyone's a second and a half slower than their best laps on this final lap of the session.
TNT Sports. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah, it's getting wetter out here. That's the problem that we're experiencing right now. The track's just getting damper and damper, and it's hard to go through. Let's go back to the World Feed.
The championship leader, Evans, has also had his final lap time deleted at the end of that session for track limits down at turn 6, which is the hairpin before that. So that means he ends the session in 7th fastest at the end of Group A. The upshot is his teammate, Nick Cassidy, was on great form there and managed to set the fastest lap time by a comfortable margin, nearly half a second.
It's Cassidy's radio.
Yeah, 4:10 is quite a lot.
Okay, I'll be surprised if they improve. The conditions are a lot worse that last lap. I know I can sound stressed, but I'm not, and your information was good. So thanks for a good car, great car, and thanks for good information.
Yeah, great bits of qualifying there for Nick Cassidy. Fastest at the end of that session by 4/10 over Pascal Verline. Jake Hughes ended that one up in 3rd quickest, ahead of Nick DeFries, Max Gunther, then Zane Maloney. Evans, who we saw having a lap time deleted. Mortara, who we're looking at the moment, was 8th quickest, ahead of a very disappointed Oliver Roland, who I'm sure will have a few choice words to say to his team after that session. Tictum and Nato completing the 11 drivers.
P1, please.
And this is where it went wrong for Edo Mortara at the end of that session as well. Team ready for Roland. I beg your pardon. So looking here at more dramas for Edo Mortara, whose car did not look comfortable at all in the final stages of that session. Team just fighting the car there, just sliding away, and track conditions certainly got worse at the end of Group A. The upshot is it's Nick Cassidy who was fastest with a 1:31.3. Keep an eye out for the times in Group B to see whether they can get anywhere near to that, given the track conditions deteriorating at the end of that one. So Verline finished ahead of Hughes, De Vries, then Maximilian Günther just behind him. Behind Günther was Maloney, Evans, Mortara, Roland, Ticktum and Norman Nato to complete the order. So then, from Group A over to Group B, and let's see if they're going to be able to improve in terms of time. Just a reminder of the drivers who will be out in Group B. Taylor Barnard, Antonio Felix da Costa, Jean-Eric Verne, Jake Dennis, Sebastian Buemi, Stoffel Van Dorn, Lucas de Grassi, Sam Bird, Nico Muller, Robin Freitz and David Beckman are the 11 drivers. Now, of course, Group B coming up in a few moments' time as they sit there at the end of pit lane. They'll have had the advantage of watching the cars out in Group A and seeing where the best racing lines are a few moments ago.
Green light coming. The driver is set.
So then over to Group B qualifying. The driver who sets the fastest time in the groups will start this race on pole position. Just to remind you, no dual stages of qualifying as the green light comes on at the end of pit lane. Antonio Felix da Costa lights up the rears of his Tag Heuer Porsche. The reference lap time we're looking to beat in Group B is a 1:31.305. That was set by Nick Cassidy in the early stages of Group A a few moments ago. But track conditions look like they've got a lot worse in this at the start of this session.
Antonio Felix da Costa likes to light up his rear tires. Remember in Tokyo how much smoke that came out of the dry part of his garage. Yeah, you can see the drivers trying to put a lot of slip angle and put some scrub in the tires to gain any kind of temperature to try to activate a little bit the tires.
There's definitely much more standing water, isn't there, compared to when the earlier group started. So clearly the rain's been falling, and that's another reason to try and get the time done early, because if the conditions keep getting worse and worse, it could end up being red flags. You're going to lose time early. Roland, I imagine, not happy with how his qualifying went.
Let's have a look. Yeah, body language kind of says it all there, really. Quick exit out of the car, straight towards the back of the garage. And he'll be disappointed with that, because Karun, you said that the team mismanaged that session, and I happen to agree with you.
Yeah, I think they just could have done, they have to pick who's their #1 driver, right? And clearly it's Oliver Roland. And having him wasting laps, driving around behind Nato, who's 2-3 seconds a lap slower than him at that point, just, to me, makes no sense. And actually, you could help Nato, right? If you let Roland go in front, who's quicker than him, he can pull him along, he can learn a few things along the way. So I think they could have done a better job of that. But anyway, that was then. This is now. Let's watch on board. Antonio Felix da Costa down at turn 1. This is where the river forms. See, little slide, more sliding. It's just
There's really
struggling.
nothing there. Not much grip to push. I think it's really trying to find somewhere some efficiency for the tire. I could see some drivers trying to line up very straight for the exit, because the combined is just not working at all. So as soon as they are able to be in a straight line, they can put a bit more power down, and then the benefit from the acceleration.
Yeah, just look there, just struggling with the aquaplaning at turn 5. That's what Jake Dennis was talking about. And it's, you could just watch the blue trace. That's the throttle trace. Look how long it takes him to get to full power, if he even gets there before turn 7.
That's actually it doesn't.
Yeah, you can see him just floating on the top surface of the water here as he's trying to fight for grip that just doesn't exist out on the racetrack at the moment.
And there's nowhere, not even an area where you would think, okay, I'll go there, it looks a bit better, or the outside or on the inside. It's just all equally wet.
And by the way, it looks very slow, because he's struggling so much for grip out there. He's the fastest person in that first sector of anybody on the lap right now, which just tells you how hard the conditions are.
Yeah, da Costa is a 30.621. Vern, middle sector, 30.523. Costa, third sector, looking good. Black and white flag for Van Dorn, Barnard and Freins for driving unnecessarily slow. So they've tried to do that thing of getting the slipstream run in. It hasn't worked out the way you want it to. 8 minutes to go until qualifying ends, totally. So it'll end actually on roundabout on time from where we actually had to go originally. So it's not all bad. We get about a 2-hour nap between sessions, which we'll take. It's a REM cycle at a critical time. But I'm buzzing, ready to go. I could probably do the whole day, but get out in about 24 hours time when I'm still awake as well, doing the NASCAR. That might be something a bit different. At least IndyCar, there's I think IndyCar ends at 8 and then they've got like a 3-hour gap. So more sleep. Time's coming on. Da Costa, followed by Vern. Then up needs a third. Look at Lucas Di Grassi. Third row of the grid. That's a strong time. Lucas likes these conditions, but he was also the one that was saying about it's about driver safety and fan safety as well, and you need to make sure it's A-OK. The rain's still around the area. It's nothing too bad right now as I'm having a look at the radar. I've refreshed the radar as well. Yeah, there's more rain coming in. And then it does actually clear up for a bit. So it's 3 now. So we need to adjust this time to now and go from here. Yeah, so there is a rainstorm in the area that's trying to fly through a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on that. As you can see, the water still teeming down on Taylor Barnard's face as well. He's down in 6th position in this session. Odd and even starts the grid.
Slightly open because it gets misted up. You can see right at the bottom of your screen. He's got the speed on his steering wheel, which is a bit unusual, isn't it? Don't often see.
Yeah, it's not really a valuable information. Maybe he's still on a page that gives him that information. We have multiple pages on the software.
Yeah, trying to give him a different reference point there for Taylor Barnard. He's 6th fastest in this session at the moment. Looking at Robin Freins, Alexa was down talking to him before the start of this session. A bit of a wet weather master, won the first ever wet Formula E race some years ago, did Robin Freins. You can see armfuls of lock through turns 3 and 4.
It's just a horrible feeling that you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And look, you're trying to follow the train tracks to see if you can get through without any aquaplaning. No, you're just like saying stop, hoping the car doesn't run off track, hope you don't hit a river of water. And at the moment, Freins is 5th. His teammate Boemi in front of him on track, but way down on the lap times.
You can see him here trying to induce understeer, which then goes into snap oversteer through turn 7 and 8. Gets it back for quite a late apex there, Robin Freins. Certainly not the fastest way he'll have navigated this Shanghai circuit.
It looks awful, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the conditions look so bad.
It just looks so clumsy and slow, doesn't it? Making your way through even the fastest corners and then fighting for traction and grip under braking. Again, inducing that understeer, armfuls of lock through these corners.
I recommend trying tighter lines. Seems to be more grip on tighter lines, especially 2-3.
Trying to keep the car a bit closer to the curb on the inside of the corner there for Freins. Goes up to 6th fastest after finding some time at the final sector. Let's have a look at David Beckman here in the Cupra Kiro. This is going through turn 5, which has caught a few drivers out.
He snapped it.
Beckman out with a spin. And he's do a full 720. Wow. Not quite. Has a trip over the gravel there as well. Went very early on in that corner, actually, as well.
And it drifted all the way down the hill.
Turn 3 into 4. Have a look at what it looks like going through into 5. So he's following the train tracks then here, and he just gets a snap of oversteer, and well, there's no chance to correct that, is there?
That should be a red flag.
Good job on staying on track almost throughout the whole spin.
Red flag! Red flag's out! Red flag is out! I said it should be a red flag, and that's it. And it's for one of the Envisions who have stopped on the circuit. I believe it is Sebastian Boemi. And the red flag is out. He's beached it into the same part that we just saw Beckman get snapped up on. And I'm sorry, but that needs to be it now. That really does. Everyone's allowed times. Oh, is it down in turn 1? It's really unusual. If he's just aquaplaned off at 1, we need to stop this session and not restart it. He's going so slow here.
They go wrong for him. No power. Let's have a look. So out of turn 4 into turn 5, and he's going to have the same thing as David Beckman.
It's exactly the same as Beckman, yeah.
So I think he's had a technical failure there according to the team radio.
He said he's got no power in brake failure, but that needs to be it now. Session, you know, just call it there. That's 2 spins in the same part of the track.
But a technical problem there. You can see the dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. And yeah, Buemi, unfortunately, out of this qualifying session and a technical problem for him. It's brought out the red flag. 4 minutes to go. The clock has now stopped in this session. So one would imagine there's going to be a mad scramble once the green flag flies after that car's been recovered.
Well, Di Grassi snuck through just before the red flag to pop up into second place. So that's a good lap for him and the Lola Yamaha team.
Yeah, Taylor Barnard spinning around like a Beyblade at that first corner as well. Not the first driver to be caught out in these conditions.
Beyblade? I haven't heard of a Beyblade since the 1990s.
I'm just reminiscing my childhood, mate. Barnard and Bird, 7th and 8th fastest at the moment. Buemi's been able to get the car going. So he's
fine. So we should be able to go green pretty soon, then.
Yeah, he's got it back into a recovery mode there. We'll come back into the pit lane, but I imagine that will be the end of his session because quite clearly a technical problem that needs to be investigated.
Well, it seems like it's cleared from what we can see on his screen. He probably did a power cycle and resetted everything, and there's no major issue.
Buemi radio.
Somehow it said brake failure, and then I had no drive. So after the power cycle was okay, I'm driving back.
Classic alt control delete.
Yeah, so back into the pit lane then for Sebastian Buemi. He has some gravel coming out of that car. He did a fair old trip across it down at turn 5.
Race director could tell him to speed up and then
good, yeah.
Because they were in the pit lane.
Well, I wonder if he's
start the session as soon as he's back.
Yeah, he's not in a hurry here, but he's keeping it at a constant speed. So I wonder if
That's
the car's
a
in
rule.
a certain. Oh, it's a rule, is it?
You have to stick to 50 kilometers an hour unless the race director tells you to. Okay, you can pick up the speed and.
Yeah, so back into the pit lane then for Sebastian Buemi. So there's another car behind him there as well. You've got Da Costa, who's not too far adrift down the road, and likewise Verne also still out on the circuit. So those cars will come back into the pit lane before we get the session resumed. We look at the Envision lighting up its tyres as we exit out of pit lane. This is at the start of Group B a few moments ago. We saw Cassidy faffing around trying to get his gloves on at the end of pit lane. An impatient Pascal Wehrlein right behind as well as he wanted to get out onto the circuit and kickstart this session. So at the moment, Antonio Felix da Costa fastest at 1:32.952. Significantly slower than we saw in Group A. So the first session out, definitely the quicker of the two, owing to better track conditions. The rain came down at the end of Group A, and as such, it has really disrupted Group B's possibility to challenge for the front row of the grid. So if the conditions don't improve, there is a good possibility we'll see Nick Cassidy on pole position for the first time since London back in July for the final race of season 10 last year. Di Grassi up in second place in the...
that would be his best qualifying, right?
Well, you say that, but Group A was significantly faster, down to 9th place. So it wouldn't be bad, but...
Yeah, it was basically brake... it says brake failure, but I don't know if it's when I spun, while I was braking. I think I just lost it on the aquaplaning, and then basically it said... somehow it said brake failure. And then I had no drive, so after the power cycle was okay, I'm driving back.
So Buemi then seemingly looks like he's going to be out of this session. Unfortunately for the Swiss driver, the winner from Monaco. Going no further in Group B qualifying. All drivers now back in pit lane after that red flag.
It looks like they're getting ready though, Tom, but as far as I know, if you cause the red flag, you
can't go out again.
You can't be back out, I think.
Exactly, so I'm fairly sure that is the end of his session, to be honest. Let's have another look at the incident which caused it then. So technical problem for him, and then he gets into a spin down in turn 5.
I'm sure the sporting director Leon Price will be arguing the toss with the race control.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, drivers now coming down pit lane then, so waiting for this session to resume. 4 minutes and 4 seconds left on the clock. And Nick Cassidy, well, he's wondering exactly what he's done, but that was set a good lap time at the right stage of that qualifying session, and 0 to hero time for Cassidy. No points yesterday, a double non-score for Jaguar TCS Racing, but a good possibility of pole position here this morning for qualifying for round 11.
Provisional
The fans watching on in the grandstands here in Shanghai as we await the resumption of this session. The rain's still coming down, not quite as heavy as it was, but track conditions I don't think will be improving all that much, if at all. Green light comes on at the end of pit lane then, and the session resumes with 4 minutes left. This is going to be a frantic scrabble to the checkered flag now, isn't it?
Yeah, let's see if the conditions got even worse. It would be difficult for the drivers to improve those lap times. I doubt they will, because the tires have cooled down, and it will be a difficult task.
So you see the onboard cameras here as the drivers come out of the lane, some driver's eye views there as well. So you've got 2 Neon McLarens out in this one, 2 Tank Oil Porsches, only 1 Envision now remaining, courtesy of Sebastian Buemi's demise in this session. And now they're all going to be trying to fight for some clear track.
Bird radio.
As we said, Sam, this is marginal for 2 push. Marginal for 2 push.
So the subtext to that is you need to get on with it on the out lap, because if you hurry up, you might get 2 push laps. If you take too long to get to the line, you might end up with just 1 push lap.
But this is going to be great.
See all the dirt and the stones there from Buemi's off, and maybe also from Beckman.
So the people in the best position are the 2 Andretti's, so Jake Dennis and Nico Muller.
I must correct myself, because Buemi is out in this session again.
Make sure we don't back up after turn 10. Make sure we don't back up after turn 10.
Yeah, there's been some black and white flags for a couple of drivers I saw before.
So Buemi's under investigation for causing the red flag, and I think it's more under investigation for going back on track.
Well, that's what I think. Yeah, exactly. I thought, as far as I was aware, if you cause the red flag, you're not allowed out in the session, but the team just decided to throw a caution with the wind, like you say, argue it. Like
Go for it. I think that there's an element of them wanting to send a car out just to make sure it's okay as well, because there's a strange technical issue. Maybe they just want to, obviously they haven't got another chance before the race to check it. And he's going to be the back anyway. So these cars,
they're all cruising.
Yeah,
now,
but they're only
they?
going to get 1 lap.
But the problem is they're all trying to find track position then here, and Degrassi is scything through. It's like downtown Shanghai as they try to find some clear track in front of them.
Yeah, and the red flag's back out. Red flag is back out. Don't know why. I haven't seen any reason as to why the session's going to be suspended. There's no car. Stop. Oh, hello.
Around there on the start-finish straight. Look at the rain coming down.
And the spray in front
red
of
flag.
the driver as well. Yeah, another red flag. So the session has been suspended then, owing to track conditions, presumably.
Hi everyone, this is Race Control speaking. Sorry for that. We have now very heavy rain.
Yeah.
Due to the safety reasons, we are forced to cancel, to stop qualifying session Group B. Thank you very much.
And that is the problem.
That's it. Cancel qualifying. So the red flag's out for the weather conditions that came out, and that's the right decision because the rain is now hammering it down. Let's take a look at the weather forecast as well. We're just getting that operational for you as, well, they've decided.
Quickest at the end of that one, he will not be fastest overall because Cassidy, in better conditions in Group A before this, was
look at the weather forecast. Wow.
1:31.05. You can see that DaCosta a 1:32.952. So it will be pole position then for Nick Cassidy. The first time that the Kiwi
session
started
will be
at
resumed.
the head of the grid since London, the final race of season 10. Something finally for Jaguar TCS Racing to smile about after a miserable weekend here in Shanghai. No points on the board for either driver yesterday. And now we have got Nick Cassidy quickest at the end of qualifying.
There we
He will
go.
start the E-Prix this afternoon on pole position.
So
Confirmation of the session will not be resumed following that late red flag. The inclement weather front coming in and scuppering any chance of lap time improvements for the drivers. De Grassi, second quickest at the end of Group B from Antonio Felix da Costa. Verne in third place ahead of Stoffel van Dorn. Muller, Freit, Barnard Bird, Dennis Buemi, and then David Beckman is the final finishing order. In terms of where the drivers are going to line up, though, just to give you an idea of the pace that we saw in Group A. So the quickest time in Group B was a 1:32.952. That was set by Antonio Felix da Costa. You have to go down to 9th place in Group A to see where da Costa is going to line up on the grid, effectively.
I don't believe so, Tom.
You don't
because
believe
Group A, all of Group A will line up on the left.
Right, okay.
All of Group B will line up on the right. So it will be
like
da
that.
Costa on the front row. It'll be pole position for Nick Cassidy. Da Costa will be second. Third will be,
Verline or De Grassi.
Verline and then De Grassi, exactly.
Right.
So all of Group A will line up in the odd positions.
How was my turn one? I actually made the apex this lap.
Yeah, certainly turn 1 loop was an improvement. Also turns 2, 3 was an improvement as well.
Just also looking at this as well, because obviously normally you get 3 points for pole position. By the regulations, you don't get pole for 3 points for setting pole within the group stages, but it's at the steward's discretion because obviously of the exceptional circumstances that we've had here for round 11. Essentially what it will come down to is if the stewards deem that the pole position that's been taken by Nick Cassidy, he can be awarded those 3 points if the stewards decide it, essentially.
Not a bad qualifying for Jean-Eric Verne, third place, but that means P6 or P7 for...
6 on the grid, yeah.
No, that's a slower group, so 7.
So then, drivers at the end of qualifying then see a happy end to that session, thankfully, I can imagine, for some of them, courtesy of the weather that has come in. A lot of confusion amongst the drivers after that one. A lot of confusion here in the commentary box as well. The upshot is Nick Cassidy will start this race from pole position here this afternoon. He will have Antonio Felix da Costa alongside him on the front row of the grid for Tag Heuer Porsche. Second row will be occupied by Pascal Verline and Lucas de Grassi. Then it will be Jake Hughes on the third row with Jean-Eric Verne alongside. Then it's going to be Nick de Vries and Stoffel van Dorn. And we'll be here all day if we try and work out the order. But look at the weather now that has hit right at the end of this session. There was a huge weather front that was threatening to come in. So there was a lot of anticipation to try and get the two groups out before this happened. But the problem is we got a red flag courtesy of an off-track moment for Sebastian Buemi after a technical failure for him.
And that was it.
That red flag went on for a length just long enough to cause the weather to come in. And as such, the session was then red flagged again. And the upshot is that Antonio Felix da Costa ends Group B fastest ahead of Lucas de Grassi, Jean-Eric Verne and Stoffel van Dorn. Nico Muller in 5th place at the end of that session ahead of Freit, Barnard Bird, Dennis Buemi, and then David Beckman in the Cupra Kiro, who we saw also ending up off track in that session as well.
Well, there we go then. What a crazy qualifying. We'll be back in 2 hours' time for all of the action for the Shanghai Prix. I really hope we get a race. Go have some naps, people. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.